Welcome to The Winning Bid, automating the RFP process. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of The Winning Bid. Today's episode is titled The Power of Automation and the Importance of R&D. As special guests, Patrick and Evrard, both co-founders of Sequesto. Patrick, you've been around in tendering for a long time. In this context, you have been working in teams that have been answering RFPs, bidding teams. Patrick, the way teams were built in the past is different from today. There has been a clear evolution. Can you enlighten us a little bit on that?
Yeah, we see a significant evolution in the size of the teams. We see definitely an evolution in the skill set that is needed within bid and tender teams. So there's clearly an evolution. Very long time ago, a bid team was basically like one or two people that were very good at admin. They were very structured. They were able potentially to do some decent writing. We've seen that grow into a multitude of different roles and skill sets. So on the one hand, you've got bid writers who are very good at writing texts. Then you've got other people who are very good at analysis, basically analyzing the customer's documentation and figuring out what do we need to do, who do we need to get involved, what needs to be delivered, what are the deliverables. Then you've got other types of people that are much more into the project management component of, okay, how are we going to run this project? Do we need to get involved? Or what are the timelines like? How do we chase people? How do we make sure that people deliver their little pieces of the puzzle on time? And you've got other people in the team, again, different skill set, who are able to take those 50 to 100 pieces of the puzzle and basically get the puzzle to be delivered as one end result.
So summarizing, you see an evolution in size of teams and in profiles, just more people. Do you expect this to continue happening in the next foreseeable years?
I'm absolutely certain we'll see that to continue, because tenders, RFPs, and all these project-related, how should I say, the project aspect is getting more complicated. So we need to involve more people, and we need to involve people with ever-evolving skill sets. Technology will play a role, but also what is expected of a professional tender manager, bid manager, that role is also evolving.
Right.
And I see technology play an important role to support those people and to allow them to basically upgrade their skills even faster.
Right. Now, back to today, what would you say are the typical pain points of bid teams? What are the most common problems or issues or stress points that they are facing today?
As this is a complex process, there are many different areas that we would consider as pain points. First one is a very simple one. You receive a zip file from the customer, which is called the tender documentation, containing 25 files. Some of these files are Excel sheets that you need to fill. Other ones might be documents that you need to analyze, figuring out what needs to be done, what is the customer expecting from us. So that is one thing. Analyzing the customer's documentation is already a big challenge due to the multitude of documents that they're sending you and the multitude of what you are required to do with it. Secondly, all these projects come under pressure. There are very strict deadlines. You need to deliver within the deadline. There's no way around it. The complexity of the tender, combined with the very strict deadlines, leads to a lot of people need to get involved. There's a lot of stress involved. You need to divide the work amongst co-workers, subject matter experts, so you need to involve a lot of people. You need to chase those people to make sure that they deliver all their bits and pieces on time. You then need to put everything together. for all the users involved, even for a subject matter expert that just needs to deliver 3 answers to 3 questions. They need to go and find information in the library. The library, which is in most cases, for most of the people that we're talking to, a big pile of data that they either have centralized and they need to go and search in the library, or in many cases, even decentralized, because bits and pieces of the information might be even on your local hard drive. It might even be in your mailbox. So getting to the right information is a pain point on itself.
That actually is my own experience. I've been also participating in some tender teams, and indeed, a lot of information is in just mails,
Yep.
either as attachments or as content or
Yep.
both. And sometimes you have 15 versions of the same Excel as an attachment,
Yep.
and you don't know which one is the most recent one. And it's mixed with some Word documents, and sometimes there are links that point to some SharePoint,
Yep.
and you have a very heterogeneous set of repository of data
Yep.
and of knowledge.
And even when you were able to put it all together in one centralized repository, that repository was built and structured in a specific way. But after months or years of usage, that repository basically turns into one big pile of data.
As they say, libraries are sometimes very good hiding places of
Absolutely.
information.
Yeah.
You can hide things if you misplace or mislabel
Yeah.
it.
It
Right.
can be as simple as that. But what I'm also seeing is like it's even more complex than that, because in a large organization, I don't have a clue what we've got in the library. I don't even know where to go and search in the library. If I don't know whether we've got something there, how would I know where to go and search? Technology can play a role there, that instead of you go and search in the library, imagine you would have something that is able to deliver information at your fingertips.
Right.
That is where we need to go
Mhm.
to enable people to do more under even more pressure. We need to equip them with the right set of tools and technology to take away all that waste of time that a lot of people are suffering from today.
Yes. So indeed, information retrieval is a critical pain point, and then delivering answers in a streamlined manner, compliant with the requirements of the tender,
Yep.
with one tone of voice, in one layout, with one level of quality is also a challenge.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So these are the pain points. Um, what are solutions? How can technology help to circumvent these and turn them into benefits? Tell me a bit about um, your road towards improvement of
Yeah.
this.
So typically, most tender teams would be using standard office tools, uh, Excel, Word, SharePoint, Mail, Microsoft Teams, something like that. So these tools are very good at a lot of things, but they're not optimized to basically allow you to optimize your tender process. So, time for dedicated tooling that basically optimizes many steps in that process. Are all the steps to be optimized? A lot of them are.
Mm.
Not all, but a lot of them are. So there are a lot of different pockets where we can deliver due to dedicated tooling and optimized tooling. We can deliver significant time gains. We can bring down stress situations. We can eliminate stress, and we can optimize the process big time. A couple of examples I could give there is, imagine instead of you or the three of us reading through a 120-page tender document to identify what are the important things, what do we need to do, what questions do we need to answer, what kind of uh, proof points or documents do we need to provide. Imagine you could have a piece of software that does that pre-reading for you. And then that says, I've identified these 30 questions and these 5 documents that we'll need to provide. Would I fully rely on it? And does it mean that I don't need to do anything anymore? Absolutely not. But if that pre-reading and pre-identification is already done by a tool, it makes my life a lot easier to then say, okay, let me quickly go over it and make sure that all the emphasis are made right and that we haven't overlooked anything. That's already a big thing. Another area of optimization is on the library side. We just talked about, okay, you go and search to find what you need in the library. Technology today could basically point you exactly in the right direction. Even more, technology could say, well, if you need to write a piece of text on this topic, here is the right input that will allow you to write that piece of text. We even take it a step further, potentially, by saying, based on the input that we have found and that you validated as, yes, these are the bits and pieces that are relevant, maybe the technology can even come up with a draft answer. Is that my final answer? Absolutely not. But it's a very strong draft that I will then polish and fine tune and maybe put a bit more emphasis here and a bit less there. So I'm now, instead of thinking, how can I create a nice piece of text? I'm now optimizing a draft and making sure that it is the perfect answer to this question.
Right.
Those are capabilities that currently we can achieve by using dedicated technology.
Evrach, turning to you now.
Yeah.
What would the architecture be of such tool or tools to achieve this, to accomplish this?
Yeah. So the first thing that we need for sure is data. So for that, we need to build a collective, what we call a collective memory. So that means in such a tool, you need to have a place where you can upload all kind of documents coming from the business, being all tenders, RFPs that business has answered, but also white papers, product descriptions, certificates, any other type of attachments, spreadsheets containing relevant information, even emails. You could, as you said before, you have a lot of information within your emails. All of that needs to be integrated into a collective memory upon which we can afterwards find relevant information and pieces of text.
But how do you achieve the level of uniformization? Because all these data structures are very different. A PDF
Exactly,
document
yeah.
is very different from a Word document, is very different from an Excel sheet. How do you achieve the process of transforming that into one common denominator that you
Yeah,
can deal with?
that's really the challenge. That's the challenge with data. And I think that's also the IP of a company is what they can deliver in this parsing of the document. And so we use different kind of technology. We have our own algorithms that we use to parse documents. We automatically cut documents into smaller sections. We also use OCR technology to retrieve information out of images, for example. We also have a dedicated parser for spreadsheets. We use combination maybe sometimes of parser and OCR to detect question and answer pairs or retrieve table from a spreadsheet. So that's really the challenge. It's a good question, and that's where our technology and our tool really makes the difference with the
Understood.
competition.
Yes, because indeed that is a very difficult
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
Understood.
I would say today the challenge is more on how you integrate and ingest those data in the best way and the more automatic way. That is more the challenge than applying afterwards an AI model on top of it.
So your first step was gathering the data, ingressing it from all these multiple sources, standardizing it, and then what?
Yeah. So once we have that data, we need to put it in our database and we also index that data. With that, we can easily then publish that data to every customer or every user of the platform in all the different places where they need to.
But that wouldn't mean this data is shared just with anyone in the company, right? There's an element of security.
Yeah, of course. So indeed, so whenever a company is using the platform, then the data is only accessible for this specific company. It's not shared between different companies. So that means all the user of that account, so of that company, will have access to that data specifically. There is no data sharing between companies, between accounts, and it's not even also published outside of the tool for sure. It's
Understood. You have a very strict
yeah,
compliance with
yeah.
security permissions.
Yeah.
All that can be dealt with. What does the user interface look like to manage this from a user's point of view? If you are a member of the bid team, what are the very practical, hands-on things that this person needs to do?
So basically, the person, what they receive are files, as Patrick explained. So they receive spreadsheets, Word, also sometimes PDF, PowerPoint presentation. And so they need to be able to work in those different files. And that's really a challenge because all those files have different formats and also have different, so you have those different types of document, but every spreadsheet is also always different. So we need a way to standardize also those spreadsheets so that they can work in the spreadsheet afterwards in the platform. So what we do at Sequesto is that we allow that. We allow you to work with all those different files and we help you to analyze those files so that we retrieve the relevant information you need to work on, that you can afterwards work on, answer your different questions, attach your different certificates, for example, also look at the exclusion criteria, the selection criteria to decide if you will go or not go for that specific RFP, if it fits you, if it fits your company. And once all of that is tackled, we put everything back into a proposal format. Also, really flexible. It can be whatever template that you have within your company. And that's really the challenge. So bringing all those different types of files and format into one way of working, and then being able to have also be really flexible on the output side as well. And all of that is integrated into a user interface that we try to give as intuitive as possible. We develop it this way, but also we want to create like a calm and serene environment for our user, because we know that answering RFP can be really stressful, and we really want to get rid of the noise around the process of answering RFPs. We want to help our user to do that in a proficient manner, in a calm manner, and that they can deliver on time what they need to deliver in an efficient way.
Excellent. Now, one other challenge that we didn't bring up, but that was more or less assumed, is the multilingual aspect, Patrick, right? There are more and more teams that use multilingual content because of the nature of the profiles that are involved. You have people from multiple countries. You have had maybe multiple tenders in the past in other languages. How do you deal with that, Evrach, with your system?
Yeah. So how we do that is that, in fact, we do not really care about the language of your data. Whenever you upload document into the collective memory, we treat all the file the same way, whatever the language is. And we do that because we are using multilingual AI models to retrieve the relevant data afterwards. So that means we do not need to translate data into one common language to make it searchable afterwards. Our model can work with every kind of languages, in fact. It can be all European languages, Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, all of that will work. And so we are able, whenever you need to answer a question, we are able to generate automatically an answer based on pieces of text contained in your collective memory, which are in another language.
That seems like a fairly new development, hasn't it, in AI?
Yeah, it's indeed. So that's the latest model of available out there, AI model out there, and those models use what we call multilingual tokenizer. It's a bit technical, but yeah, indeed, it's the latest.
Because in the past it was all different. In
Yeah.
the past you had to probably translate content
Exactly. Yeah.
and then make it search in that specific language.
Yeah, exactly.
And even worse, in the past, you would have like somebody spending half an hour on creating an answer in one specific language, while one of his colleagues in a different country had already answered a very similar language before. On that multilingual aspect, I would like to add something there, because a lot of people think like it's all about translating. If I got a a nice piece of text in English and I can translate it properly to French or German or any other language, that solves my problem, doesn't it? Well, it doesn't. Actually, it doesn't. Because before you can translate it, you need to know what information you want to translate. You need to know that you've got a piece of text there. With the capabilities we've built into the platform, I don't need to know what is in our collective memory. The collective memory itself will look at a question or a topic and will say, wait a minute, don't start creating your own answer right here and right now, because I've got something. Yeah, originally it's in a different language, but I have got something in my collective memory which perfectly answers this question or covers this topic. So I don't need to know what we've got in the library or in our collective memory. The collective memory knows that for me. That's why we call it a collective memory, by the way. It's our collective intellect that is being pulled together. And together there's so much more that we already know, that we already have. And then once that is identified by the collective memory, it's basically a matter of, okay, but I need it this time in Chinese.
Right. Can you say something about rephrasing text?
Yes, so that's really into generative AI trend. So what we do there is that after retrieving the relevant pieces of text that we have found in the collective memory, we allow you to use those pieces of text together. But you could say, for example, I'm going to use this specific paragraph of a specific document. I'm going to reuse this answer that I provided to a similar question. And now I want to recreate a new decent answer with all of those sources. And so the rephrase functionality that we have is really using the generative AI. So what we do there is that we allow user to type whatever instructions that they might have. So it might be a summarization of the pieces of text that we have found. It can be just a rephrase, extend in a particular length, like for example for 200 words. So they can type. It's super flexible. They can retype the instruction that they want, and then the AI model automatically generates the relevant output that they can then rework if they want and then use as an answer. And in fact, we are going to bring that even further now by doing that all automatically. So we will use the piece of text automatically that we have found, relevant piece of text that we have found in the collective memory. And then automatically we will generate an answer based on those pieces of text, on the sources, but also on the question that you need to answer. So that we make sure that we create a perfect answer automatically for the question that you need to answer in that specific context.
Understood. So how does this all change the way the teams work? Do you think it makes their lives easier?
Yes, so we do change the life of our user because they do not spend time anymore searching through the library. We automatically provide them with a strong draft, as Patrick explained. And so their role then is more to adapt this draft with their knowledge that they have from the client, that they got from the pre-sales team. And that is then added to the answer, to the drafted answer. And then that makes just the answer more strong. And more relevant for that specific client. And what we see then is that the win rate of those RFPs, tenders, is just higher because they have not spent their time in searching to the collective memory, they spend their time in writing the best possible answer for the client.
Understood. Now, you've already brought up a little bit of your roadmap because you mentioned the things you will add. So can you elaborate a bit more? What else is going to happen in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so I explained indeed that we're gonna add this automatic answer capability. We also want to add a chat with your document, so you will be able to ask whatever question in your library, and then we will generate answer based on the source text. So it's an extension again. Next to that, as you mentioned, we have a lot of information within our emails. And so one of our big challenge at Sequesto is, again, as we discussed, parsing those documents, making the content of those documents uniform into the collective memory. And so, for that, we want to also help our user to build that collective memory. So we will allow them to send their email that contain relevant pieces of text into the library of Sequestro, like the collective memory of Sequestro, automatically by using a specific email address. Then we will parse that again, put that in the database. So that's part of our roadmap. Next to that, we are looking at integrations to integrate with SharePoint, Google Drive, and so on. So again, to make it easier for our user to enrich the library, because that's really where the challenge is enriching the library. The more structured, the better your library is, the best outcome you will have when you answer questions. And so that will be our main focus for the coming months now.
So the email approach would require, when a team discusses a tender via email, which is common, that they will use a CC
Exactly.
address.
Yep.
And all these emails would be captured by your tool
Yep.
and then put into the common memory.
Exactly.
Collective memory.
Yep.
Understood.
Yeah. And then next to that, so that's more for the collective memory side. Then we want also to use those AI capabilities on the analysis of tenders or RFPs. So whenever you receive a new document from your client, you need to go through it, read as Patrick explained, and then decide if you will answer it. And if yes, then you need to extract the questions and so on. So we have already today a model that is capable of detecting questions within an RFP, extracting automatically those questions, selection criteria, and so on. But then we are bringing now that functionality to the next level, where you can basically ask questions to your document. So that means you can basically type when is the deadline of this tender, and then we are able, like a chat will answer you with the right answer and will tell you where it found the answer within the document as well.
Now, this obviously addresses the first pain point that Patrick mentioned, because teams are evolving, teams are growing. I do understand that they also might be not static but dynamic. The tenders starts with a certain team, then they realize that they need a few more experts who are brought in later in the process, but obviously who may not have had the time even to read the full tender specifications.
Yep.
And so this chat would be a valuable addition to this process.
And then, what you can do then is saving those answers into notes so that it's accessible later on. You can have access to those notes once you start editing the proposal part. So it's really, really strong.
Well, it seems that this will all enhance the team's performances, increase their conversion rates, competitiveness, and also lower stress.
Yeah. The stress element there is very important. Imagine if you could use that type of automation, optimizing your process, getting a lot of the repetitive tasks out of the equation, because basically the platform handles them for you, freeing up like 30-40% of the time on the total process which you would spend. Imagine if you could reinvest that time into high quality work, in value add tasks, the direct impact that has on how strong your proposal will be. And with stronger proposals, clearly you're going to, your win chances go up very significantly, leading to more business with less effort and less stress.
And you will be able to handle a few more tenders in parallel.
With the same team, you will be able to handle a significant amount of additional tenders, but again, without pressuring your team.
Right. Yes. My own experience with some tenders is that they often happen just before the holiday period, with the deadline just being after the holiday period, which obviously puts an additional strain on people. So in the summer holidays or Christmas holidays, I've spent a few of these actually working on tenders.
Yeah. So whatever you can win back from a time perspective there
is some quality time.
Is a big help for your users. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Let's summarize what we've discussed today. Patrick illustrated the evolution of tender teams, how they've changed over time, where they're heading, all the pain points that are involved. Then we came up with an architecture that addresses these issues, translating solutions into technology, and a very brilliant solution that answers all these issues. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And
Thank you.
thank you for joining us on The Winning Bid, Mastering the RFP Process.